We're here in North Carolina at my friend Steven's studio, which if you're ever in North Carolina, this is the only place I would record. I would say we almost over-mic'd in some spots, but for good reason that we can use later. We're using like 421s on toms. Very common thing for anyone. 57 top and bottom snare. Steven, what are these little SDCs? Oh, they're Neumanns. Okay.
Yeah, just KM84s.
Just
Right.
bright, clear, clean. You know, they're going to give you exactly what the cymbal sounds like. Doing a knee mic as well. That's the Wonder. Is it the CM7? Yes.
It is, yeah.
For the knee mic, we've got a D6 on the inside of the kick because if you know anything about audio gear, a D6 sounds like a D6 any kick drum. It just sounds like a big clicky thing. If you're recording at home on your budget for anything like that, like D6 is going to sound as close to like a pro kick drum out the gate.
For sure.
You kind of did the room stuff, so talk to me about that because you know your room better than obviously than I do.
Yeah, so, there's a couple of options in terms of, like, the microphone choices. We have 49s as overheads. That's kind of, I would consider that the first kind of room. It's the closest ones to the kit. Kind of gives it that wide sound over the cymbals. Makes the kit just feel warm and, just emphasizes the detail of the cymbals a lot. And then I kind of look at it in phases. I've got this spaced pair of Coles. I have them kind of low to the ground. I feel like up when you put the room mics up high, I feel like I get a lot of cymbals. Yeah. If you put them down low, you get a little bit more of the low end of the shells and things like that on the room mics, and it's just a little more pleasing in the mix.
Especially for a genre like this, that like cymbals are played so hard.
Right.
That like you're already gonna get that.
You're gonna get it.
Adding more shells is not a bad thing. And then we're doing a stereo.
Yep, so we have Blumline RD8. And it's just a stereo mic. It's a pair of ribbon mics kind of in a Blumline configuration. And both of these are getting hit kind of hard with some compressions on the way in. So this is a little bit more of an open sound. And then these are a little bit more of a like warmer, chunkier shells and sort of room sound.
Cool. And there's, when it comes to like stuff like this, obviously, like I've said in other videos, there's tons of different ways about getting sounds that are, like Steven said earlier, he was like, I love that snare drum because it sounds like Warped Tour. There's different like ways to get sounds like that, but if you're looking to go into a space, if you're renting a studio space and, you've got access to gear, but you're kind of figuring this out for the first time, use this as a template and we'll go check in the main room and see what everything's running through preamp wise.
For the kick and snare, we ran them through API preamps. We didn't use any compressors on those, but we did use the Cranesong converters on those preamps.
Love that.
And for toms, we ended up using a pair of Neve 1084s. I picked these just because I have some EQ and toms generally just need them.
Sure.
421s. And so those are also feeding our Cranesong converters. And then for overheads, I used the Cranesong preamps and an SSL bus compressor on it. And it's not really doing a whole lot,
just a little,
other than just kind of reducing the snare transients just a little in the overheads. And then, let's see, and then we just get further from the kit. So we had
Coles.
We had Coles as room mics in a space pair. We ran those through the Grace. They're also running through Zener limiter. And then we had an RD8 in the middle of the room, also through the Grace. And I ran that through the Shadow Hills compressor. It was a mess. On the way in, which was fun. And then we just had like three other mics. We had the hats, KM84 on the hats, a KM84 on the ride. They're pretty simple. They were just going through preamps. And then we have our one party mic, which is just a big 47, which we ended up putting through a bunch of stuff. I think it went something like preamp to the distressor, and then it went to this Bluey 1176, and then it went into an EQ, massive passive EQ, and then into the box. So.
And then we also have already done bass as well. We didn't see the setup of that, but just kind of quickly talk through what we did, how we ran bass.
Yeah, so bass, we ended up going through some pedals just to give it a little bit of drive and dirt on the way in, a DI into one of the Neve 1084s. again, with just a bunch of EQ, so we could push the mid-range really forward and just get that kind of fat bottom out of the Neve thing. And then we ran that through an LA2A on its way in.
But we also did vocals today. We did some BGVs, and we ran those through what? I don't even know.
So it kind of starts with the Wonder CM7
Right.
Suprema.
It's like a 47
It's
kind
like
of.
a 47. It's basically a 47. And then I just hit this Tree Audio branch, and I'm doing a lot of compression on the way in because it just sounds good.
Yeah.
And not a fancy converter, just HDIO converter on that, and yeah, it sounds really good.
Tomorrow, we're doing guitars tomorrow, and we have an unexpected surprise. That I'm not even going to say it yet. You'll just see it in like now. And our surprise that I said we had is right there. Shout out to our buddy Jeremy White, who let us borrow his JCM 800, because if not, we were just going to plug in and use Audacity plugins to make guitar amps. So this is definitely going to be better. And what are we running through?
Well, we have a 1960B cab that's downstairs, mic'd up. We have a 441 and a Royer on it. And then using a pair of Neve 1084s for the preamps, give us a little bit of EQ on the way in, and then straight into some Crane Song converters. So, yeah, very, very simple.